It's time that we look at the must-start players for week 2. Here we go game by game, game script by game script, and try to pick a player from each game that could have a good game, that could be a lock, that could be safe, that we want to start in our lineups this week. We try to predict the game script, the flow of the game, how they're going to score fantasy points, and whether or not we need to start players from these games or we need to start a lot of players from these games. Also, we're not covering all the players from these games. So, if you got a question on who to start, you don't know what to do with your players or with your lineups this week, drop your questions in the comments below and I'll answer them. I'll go one by one. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stop missing out on these videos because I'm helping you set your lineups. I'm helping you with the waiver wire. We're doing deep dives, and this is going to help you with the process of thinking things through with your lineup decisions going game by game. We're also doing a sneaky start video too, and in that video we'll be doing the same thing, but finding that off-the-wall option, that less popular player who could be sneaky and could go off. So you're going to want to pay attention to that one too. But let's dig in. Let's start looking at these players here real quick. So the first game that we're looking at here is the Green Bay Packers at the Atlanta Falcons. So that's important to know. The Packers will be on the road in this game. Vegas has a 40.5 over-under. This could be a slower scoring game, but this could also be a game script that breaks. Jordan Love can push the ball downfield a little bit, and then the Falcons have some good pass catchers. We got Bijan Robinson, Drake London and company. This is going to be an interesting game to watch here, as it could be a litmus test of both these teams. They were also in some weird game scripts last week, so you need to pay attention to this game. Pay attention to some of these pass catchers. Pay attention to Drake London and his target share, but our must start for this week, Bijan Robinson again, because he's always going to be a must-start option for the Falcons. 47.1% opportunity share, 33% target share for a running back. That's unheard of. I don't think I've heard anyone bring that up or mention that. Might have seen it written down a few spots here and there on the internet, but that's huge for a running back. That's top tier for a wide receiver. That's top tier for an elite wide receiver. Saw 33% target share and ran routes on 77% of those opportunities. He's getting too much opportunity to not want to start him, and he is good in all game scripts. If they're ahead, he's going to get some rushing opportunities. If they're behind, they're going to be throwing it to him because he's that dynamic. So Bijan Robinson, easy lock for the week in this game script. Next game script, Ravens traveling to the Bengals. We got a 46 over under, and this game script could be all over the place. The Bengals were pretty stagnant last week, but they were playing in the rain. They were playing against the Browns. Weird game script with that one. Could be another weird one because it's a divisional matchup here, and the Ravens lost J.K. Dobbins. So things are going to be very, very interesting in this game. It could be high scoring. It could break, or it could be very low. That's why it's kind of like in the middle here with a 46 over under. Looks like we got a tight spread as well. It could go either way. Let's go with Zay Flowers. DraftKings does not have a prop for Zay Flowers there at the bottom either. They do not have a yardage prop yet. They might right now as you watch this. He had a 47.6% target share in his first ever game. You're rolling with that till it stops happening. 10 targets, ran a route on 93% of the routes out there. Had a 2.8 ADOT though, short yardage guy. However, Mark Andrews is hurt. Sounds like he might be out again this week. It's not looking good. And I expect more targets to be going to him. He saw 10 targets. The rest of the wide receivers saw 11. He's a good ball player. He's got that dog in him. He's fast. He's explosive. Runs crisp routes. I'm rolling with him again until they tell us not to roll with him. Next, the Raiders are traveling to the Bills. 46.5 over under. This game script could break too. This one could definitely break because the Bills like to push the football. And the Raiders have some stuff in their offense that can really give you some fantasy points on the run back. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, but we're going to roll with Stephon Diggs here because we know the Bills are going to push the football, and he's seeing a large target share, running a lot of routes, seeing a lot of opportunity. The Raiders, though, were very stingy against the Broncos, but still, the Bills are going to play their game. They're going to push it downfield. And this could be an explosive matchup. This could be a game where we test those Raiders, see how they can push it as well. But if you're looking for a lock, Stephon Diggs. Target share is going to be there. Routes are going to be there. Opportunities are going to be there. As long as he's on the field, he should be getting something. Next, Bears at the Bucks. And this is one of those games you do not want to touch because you do not know what angle you want to take. Last week, we saw the Bucks do great things against the Vikings. Mike Evans got a good target share, saw some targets downfield. We can lean in on that. The Bears was very stagnant last week. However, the Bucks allowed 2.2 yards per carry against the Vikings, but that could be an anomaly, though, because the Vikings can't run the ball anyways. However, if they're stifling the run, look for DJ Moore to get some short opportunities here. Look for him to get a larger target share than what he saw last week. Vikes passed for 328 yards on the Bucks last week, but those are the Vikings. I could see the Bears doing a little better in the passing game this week. Again, DJ Moore ran on 93% of routes. The opportunity is going to be there if he's continuously running routes because they want to get him the football. Fields likes him. We saw that in training camp. We saw that in preseason. Let's forget about the target distribution in week 1. Realize that was a slow, wonky game script. This is also going to be a slow, wonky game script. You don't want DJ Moore. You don't really want any players from this matchup outside maybe like Justin Fields for the rushing opportunities. But you got to pick somebody. Let's pick DJ Moore. Let's see that target share ramp up a little bit. Let's see those opportunities ramp up a little bit. And he can get you yards after the catch. Next, we're looking at the Chargers at the Titans. 45 over under. And this one's going to be a fun game script because we know the Chargers can push the pace. They can get the scoring into bunches, which could push the Titans. And DeAndre Hopkins might be out. He's got an injury he's dealing with. So this could be a fun matchup to watch to see how the Titans deal with the Chargers. But the Chargers are also on the road, and we got a tight spread. This could be a slower game than expected, too, if the Titans can get their way in the beginning of this game. Next, we are looking at Keenan Allen, 29% target share. So if the Chargers are pushing the pace, then you want the lead pass catcher in this offense. And that's going to be Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler is hurt. The odds of him playing aren't really that great, but he could be suiting up. We don't know. But if they're throwing the ball, he's going to be getting it. And we know that. Titans gave up 305 passing yards last week and allowed 2.6 yards per carry. So they may be slinging the rock because they have to. They may have to be able to move the ball, and they love to sling the rock anyways. They like to push it around 40 pass attempts a game. Maybe it's a slower paced game. Maybe passing around 30 times this game. Maybe that happens. Maybe he gets 1 or 2 less targets. But chasing target share here, we're getting a guy with around 30% rate, which is elite in this league. So you want to be looking at Keenan Allen because this is an okay matchup. Not a favorable, but with the Chargers and how they push the pace, you always want to be looking at him. Next, Chiefs at the Jaguars. This is a game where you're starting everybody. Even those ancillary jabronis, you're throwing them in your DFS lineups, maybe not your redraft lineups, and you're hoping for the best, hoping for a big cash out here because anything can happen. 51 over under. Vegas is saying this is going to be a high scoring game because the unders hit a little bit more in the beginning of the season. So we got 51 over under. So we could hit that. We could exceed that. That is very well in the realm of possibilities because we saw the Jaguars push the pace last week. And the Chiefs, we know what their offense is about. We're going to be going with Travis Etienne because his workload last week was amazing. He led all running backs with routes ran and an 82.9 route participation rate, which is what you want out of your prolific running back. He had a 15.6% target share, which is very good for a receiver, which is solid. Elite for a running back, that's solid as well. And he's getting a good amount of the opportunities. This is an explosive matchup. They're going to be throwing the ball around. This is going to be a high-scoring game. You're going to want Travis Etienne because he's going to be in there in passing downs, getting that opportunity. Next, we're looking at the Seahawks going to the Detroit Lions. 47.5 over under. You're starting a lot of players from this game in DFS, and you're making a lot of matchups in this game as well. A lot of correlations in this game with the Seattle Seahawks and run backs with Detroit's and vice versa. That's what you're looking at in this game because these players are going to correlate well with each other. And we got a good spread that is favorable for fantasy points because it's going to be tight enough, but it's spread out enough where you can get some fantasy points from these teams pushing each other if everything goes to plan here. But let's look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is the easy case, But think about it this way. 238 pass yards went to Puka and Tutu Atwell last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to eat. A lot of those targets went to the middle to intermediate part of the field. That is where Amon-Ra eats. Look at the target distribution from last week from Matthew Stafford, and that is an Amon-Ra St. Brown scenario. He saw 28% of the targets. Should see that in this game. This kind of aligns well with him. Amon-Ra St. Brown should eat. Next, Colts at the Texans, 39 over under. You're going to get some players in this game that hit for you, but you're not going to know who. It's kind of a scary one because it's going to be a slower paced game. We got a battle of the rookie quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson should be on your radar here. CJ Stroud might be slinging some deep balls later in the game as well. That could be interesting, but we're going to be looking at Michael Pittman because he's getting a large share of the targets. We saw this in preseason on a small sample, but we're seeing it now. He's running almost all the routes. This is a tough game script, though, but if you're getting workload and a tough game script, that's probably what you need to put your chips on because Michael Pittman's running a lot of routes. He's getting the targets, and that's going to create opportunity. Next, Giants at the Cardinals. 40 over under. You're really not going to want many players from this game. Any game where the Cardinals are in, you're really not going to be loving that game until things start to break a little bit more. But let's look at Saquon Barkley, 72.7 opportunity share, getting used in the passing game. Darren Waller has been dealing with an injury. That could cause Saquon Barkley to see more of those short targets, impacting his upside, helping his floor out in fantasy. He's got a prop of 73 yards. That means DraftKings thinks they're going to be able to run the ball on the Cardinals as well. If you like the under or over, that's on you. But that's saying, hey, we think he can get some yards in this game. Look at Saquon Barkley to get a lot of opportunities nonetheless. Next, Niners at the Rams. Interesting game script here. The Niners is tough. But the Rams prove they can move the ball and exceed expectations with Cooper Kupp out. 44.5 over under, and the Niners are expected to win big. The Rams might be playing comeback later in the game, so that could increase their passing opportunities. However, Christian McCaffrey, old hat, we all know this, 77% opportunity share, 17.9% target share, and he's going to be running for days on this. The Rams allowed 4.7 yards per carry last week, 5.8 to Kenneth Walker. Look for Christian McCaffrey to eat on that. Look for him to be used in the passing game. Look for the Rams, though, to run it back in the passing game, too, as they're down, if this game script goes to what Vegas is telling us. That being said, don't be super down on Puka and Tutu, but they should be seeing some opportunities in this game. You might want to look more to Tutu, really, because they might have Puka more locked down, and then Tutu might be the guy, the ancillary wide receiver, the second wide receiver, the other wide receiver, however you want to look at it, that's getting the targets. Next, Jets at the Cowboys. 38.5 over under. Jets have a stingy defense, but Zach Wilson's still there. Dallas likes to create a lot of turnovers. So we're expecting Zach Wilson to have some turnovers here. And the Dallas Cowboys eating in the end of the game. Tony Pollard running out the clock, getting some opportunities, getting a large opportunity share, getting those fantasy points, maybe scoring a touchdown here and there, catching some balls. Look for him to be a lock option this week. Next, the Commanders at the Denver Broncos. You do not want anybody in this game. I don't want anybody in this game. There's no must-starts in this game. That's my take. 39 over under. There's a small chance this game script might break a little bit because it potentially can, because both these teams do have some weapons to really do that with, but expect a slower game. Both teams want to run the ball a little bit. They want to slow it down a little bit, and that's something you want to pay attention to. Going back to Jahan Dotson, 24.1% target share, 95% route share. He's running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunity, and in bad game scripts, just chase the opportunity, hope for the best, because if targets are going your way, carries are going your way, even in a slower game, you might catch one in the end zone, you might run over the goal line, or have a couple big plays. Next, Dolphins at the Patriots, 46.5 over under. We're expecting the Dolphins to push the pace here. We're expecting them to throw it all over the yard. We got some injuries at running back. We're going to see Tyreek Hill do some things. I think Jalen Waddle, though, is going to have a comeback game because these guys like to go off and on. The Patriots were kind of stingy in the passing game, but still A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith was able to distribute the workload. Might see that with Jalen Waddle too, and he's going to see air yards, opportunities, and that's going to allow him to get the chance to be able to score some fantasy points. Next game we're looking at here, Saints at the Panthers here. Fun game script, 40 over under. Saints might be able to push the pace. However, they're on the road, though, so that might slow them down a little bit. But again, they're going to sling it downfield as they've been dealing with injuries at the running back position. Look at Chris Olave to continue to eat. Like I said during the draft process, he was being undervalued. He should have been pushing first-round pick territory. You're catching him early third, mid-third, late second, mid-second, depending on who you're drafting with. That was still too cheap. 30% target share, 129 air yards. Look for something similar to that this week and going forward. Last game, Browns at the Steelers. Could be an ugly one. Could be explosive. But the Browns defense is very stingy. That could lock up the Steelers. But the Browns, though, the Browns are going to be able to run on this team because we saw Christian McCaffrey do that. We should be able to see Nick Chubb do that as well. The Steelers allowed 188 rushing yards to the 49ers last week. 18 rush attempts for Chubb last week and 4 targets. He had 4 targets before the end of the first half. That was huge. We're going to see him use a little bit more in the passing game. That's going to allow him to have a bigger floor. He's getting a lot of opportunity, a lot of workload. He is a lock, and those are our must-start options for week 2. We're going game by game, trying to guess the game script. If you have any questions on who to start for your team, who to put in your lineup, drop those in the comment below. Also hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And good luck this week. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.